Good morning, honorable guests on site and also virtually. As Mr. George indicated, I'm with the Eastern Cape Department of Economic Development, Environmental Affairs and Tourism, acting as the Chief Director for Economic Development. And appreciating, first, the work that's being done by the entity that is ECDC, leading us on this space. And I must say that, where's the drive? Yeah, then appreciating the work that has been done and that we will definitely get somewhere. And again, listening, to the and what is coming up, it's promising that as a province we will get somewhere. The outlay of the presentation, we will run it with the situation analysis and the outlook. And then we do the alignment with the National Economic Recovery and Reconstruction Plan. Then we look at our province and then the implementation plan. So basically, looking at the economic outlook, that this virus, messed up everyone, and not just on the health side, also on the economy. And now when we look at what has been happening, that some signs of recovery, and from the previous quarters, and we see that globally there is a projected growth of 5.5 for 2021, and the South Africa we're looking at 2.8. That's per the IMF. Then coming to the performance of the economy in South Africa, we got this 6.3% contribution, with the manufacturing as one of the leading, and again, trade and transport industries as major contributors. Then, if we look at the country as well as the provinces, there is the Eastern Cape, 9.3, above the national average on the growth. And then you would see on a quarter by quarter, from quarter one, where we were at 0.6, then nationally it was minus 1.8, and then the dip 2, and we could see, that again the province is still almost on par with the national. Okay, there is a summary where we're mapping the province and the national. So basically what's happened in the national space, it affects us again as a province. So, and coming to the sectors for this fourth quarter, we saw the manufacturing again leading at a provincial level. Then again, the one that did not perform is the mining in the province. So we're saying all of these, they go with the job losses, and then we need to say, how do we restructure? Taking the national reconstruction and recovery plan with all its enablers, with all its priority interventions. There is some synergy to what we've seen as the province, because one, the investment being key, and then we've got the energy security, then the tourism. Then on the enablers, we're saying on the province, it's important that we look at the skills development as one of this priority interventions, and then how do we use public finance to leverage. There is the economic recovery for the Eastern Cape with all its 5 pillars, looking at economic infrastructure, and which we see as a way of attracting investors. And then we go on to the industrialization, looking at the recalibration of the provincial economic development strategy with all its sectors, and even the emerging sectors. There we've got your agro industry, we've got the automotive sector, we've got the manufacturing right through to tourism. And then again, on the emerging sector, we see the film, and creative industries coming in. So then we got onto the equitable and transformation in the sector for inclusivity. Then say, how do we support SMMEs, get the informal sector on board and make sure the broader participation. Then the digital transformation, again, that's the trend now nationally, what globally, Francois presented, that now we run, really focus on the GDP. You've got focus now that we need to appreciate that. And again, for connectivity, we need the digital infrastructure. And there are some initiatives that we're starting along those lines. Then again, the public sector finances, what we have as government, and then we create an enabling environment for business and even partner, with some investors. So all of this is to really to make sure that there is economic growth and then job creation. Now that's the framework of implementation. We, when the COVID came in, we had to look at where do we focus. And then we had all those key result areas that we look at the economic infrastructure and even monitor logistics, that any blockages for exports where it's possible and goods coming in, we had to try and unblock all those. And then again, going into provision of the incentives, right through to compliance at a factory level, because people interact, so we need to minimize the infections as much as possible. Then going on to the interventions, for infrastructure, key, it's the packaging, of projects. That's the capacity that we need to build as a province so that we can leverage, get access on the national funds that are available with proper package projects. And then the sector development, as a province, with the other, partners, sector departments, to make sure that we build the sectors. And then again, the business continuity, which we look at, the market access, we're talking exports now. Now, despite all of the COVID and the situation that we find ourselves in, we need to continue and then so that we're not found wanting. And then SMMEs support, and then the broadband infrastructure and digital platforms, again, making sure that, there is compliance on the businesses for greater market access. Just highlights on the economic infrastructure, we'll say three, special economic zone. One would say Y3. Right, we've got the main ones, the Kucha and the East London IDZ, and then there's a Wild Coast SCZ, which has been approved, to start as an industrial park until we get, investments that are more than $1 billion, then it will get designated. We've got a pipeline on that space, so we appreciate these platforms together with parks that's providing a world-class infrastructure for investments to land in the province and then we grow. And we had now that Standard Bank, lifting that, the contribution that is coming out of these zones, it's noticeable. So we need to build on that. And we can say that, during the COVID, we did not lose any investor. Instead now we're building on that going forward. So we had to sort of incentivize them so that they can, take the knock at a time. Then again, for those regions that are not, linked to the zones, the municipalities, how do we get the catalytic projects, running, and then so that also there could be opportunities outside, the metros. And again, we said we need to aggressively now target the national infrastructure funds, like the budget facility for infrastructure, as well as the presidential seeds program. And already there are things that are coming, to the program. For instance, at Kucha, we're talking of a desalination plant and all of that. and then again the tilapia, in Skenjana. So those are the things that are coming, from this nation, and we expect to, to push for more. And we've managed to, appoint Kucha to lead that packaging of projects for these national funds based on experience. Then on the sectors, again, want to roll out the economic development strategy, the agriculture, economic development strategy, the agro-industry, where we want to build the local value chains, right from production to processing. Because what we've picked up in the province, there is, potential, we're talking potential, and we've got the processing capability, but these two are not talking. And we have to really make sure that we build these regional value chains, again, taking advantage of the industrial platforms like the industrial parks and the likes to close those gaps and then go for the export market. And again, making sure that the industry intelligence, locally, regionally, and then, globally, then we can be able now to build the sector, because we say the market is key, for development. If the market is not there, then we are doomed, then we might as well forget. And then again on the automotive and manufacturing, and with the automotive being one of the key sectors, in the province, and again we're saying, how do we, work with them? We've got industrial clusters that we've created, that is, for the players in the sector, and again interfacing with government. So strengthening that, and then pick up programs. We've got the black supplier programs that we've started as part of transformation. We're ramping up that. And then again, the local manufacturing capacity. Looking at the East London IDZ, where we are sort of mobilizing now resources now to complete the budget required for the incubator facility for manufacturing. And that will support, these sectors like your auto and the general manufacturing. Then again, SMME support programs. And then again, on the side of government, with the whole government procurement, we said it has to, open up for the local manufacturers and suppliers. So that we've been running, and we can say that by the end of February, we are at more than at 62%, which originally were targeted 50%. So we can see the engagement with the small, the SMMEs, and then now we are getting some progress. And one of the issues that we've seen, it's about the quality standards. Now we're putting up partnerships now with the lack of productivity SA, and then to address all those issues at a factory level. Then on tourism, we had to develop a tourism recovery plan, because it's one of those industries that almost died, due to COVID, but we had to say, what do we do as the province? Let's reposition it and rebrand it so that we are all talking on the same vein with the private sector, like the big players. So we've got the brand for the province. It's yours to explore. So that's what we've been communicating. And then again, looking at how do we support the SMMEs in the space, with the grading, working with the Tourism Grading Council, so that we make sure that they can also participate in the market. Then even on the marketing, we use digital marketing platforms, and we could see where, nationally, where our markets, where are our clients coming from. Then we are able now to put the billboards accordingly, so as to encourage more from that potential market, and even the global engagements, with the likes of India and all that, marketing the tourism offerings. And then on the oceans economy, we've developed the master plan, and now it's to roll it out and make sure that we build the manufacturing capability, and then again working with the stakeholders in the sector, so that we reposition the province in a better pedal. Then that's digital economy. Again, saying at Eastland and IDZ, we've got a development of a data center. And again, we see opportunity now of this whole undersea cables to attract more investors in that space. So we are, looking for investors that could come in that space, so that there is connectivity, in the province. And again, how do we support government, disaster? So those are the opportunities that we're looking at. And linked to that, it's the innovation. And that innovation is not only, for the digital economy, also talk to other productive sectors. So we've got the Science Park, which we are working now with the Technology Innovation Agency, so that we can start supporting the local innovators for new products. Then on the SMME, collaborations with the sector players like the chambers and the big industry on how do we support them. We've got a program now that we've again conceived, working with the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants, just to provide the whole ecosystem support to SMMEs. You've got your financial, non-financial, and also the technical elements, so that they're all rounded for greater market access and the jobs that we'd like to see. And again, working with the national departments, the national relief funds, which exposed us on the level of non-compliance as a province. So now we have got a program now that will be running to support, those SMMEs as well as informal businesses. Then in terms of the development finance, so again, we're saying how to utilize government money, the investment that has been made, so that we can attract more, participating on the National Investment Conference. And it happened that we've got 4 companies, investments that came into the province that were announced. And again, looking at the Provincial Investment Conference that will be held now in April. And we've got a one-stop shop that will also be launching as part of that, working with the TIC. So that's sort of positioning the province in another platform. Today we've got an export symposium to say this is where we are as the province, these are our offerings. And then leverage private capital. There is work that is underway where we're looking at our economic stimulus fund. How do we redesign it so that it could really serve the intention of a wealth fund for the province? So there is work that has been started, and hopefully before the midterm this year, it will be done. And then again, on the development finance, we've got the support programs for these SMMEs, as well as the businesses in the province, ranging from the job stimulus fund, those that are under distress, and then we've got a system where we track them, and then to say what is the nature of a distress, and then we intervene right through to the cooperative fund and the economic stimulus fund. Then there is some progress that has been made, in the implementation of some of these activities, and with some interventions. I think I've mentioned the clusters for the auto sector and the distressed, the COVID companies. It's a COVID portal where we're saying those companies that were affected by COVID, we support them so that they can be able to stand again. And then again, the PPE production, that we had to run a program to support the SMMEs in that space. Then on the agro industry, we're rolling out primary production support. It's been running with all the national funds that they came in to stimulate agriculture. We have been participating as a province. Then the cluster, we've got the industrial cluster. It's still at the early stages, and now we see that how do we take advantage of the strength that we have as a province, because among the agro-processing food, it's one of the most resilient subsectors. So we need to build that capacity, linking it back to primary production. Then that's building our local value chains. Then there is the master plan linked with the National Agriculture and Agro-Processing Master Plan. So all our activities, market-led, and then we build from the back. Then the oceans economy, and I think I've covered on the master plan that has been approved. We've got the aquaculture development zones at Kocha, the other one at Korocha, for tilapia, which is through the budget facility for infrastructure. And all these now are shaping nicely. And we say that within the, short to medium, then we will be, seeing, fruits out of this as a province. And again, on the tourism infrastructure, again, making sure that we've got responsive infrastructure as a province. Then that's bunkering, and that's another subsector that we're pushing, with the oceans economy, with all the ships that are running around, and how do we, exchange, refill, and then they get refreshments and all that. So we want to make sure even that space, there is transformation. Hence, we're supporting SMMA in that space as well. The maritime manufacturing, and that's another space, that we've started in the PE area. Then this one, that's tourism. I think I've covered tourism. And again, just to touch on the move towards experience marketing. So we had to try and invite, the prominent people to come and see the province, and then we profile it, especially those areas that are sort of unknown. And then when they see them, and then they get into the national TV and also on the social networks for marketing. Then on the enterprise development, I think I've covered that. Key there, it's the incubations, the ecosystem development, and again, the regulatory compliance for market access. And then again, working with the partners, the chambers, on how do we, build our local capacity. Then the instruments that we have, as I've touched, based on the public finance, there they are. And also the desired impact of each. And we went on to the, as I said, youth fund, IMVABA, that's mainly on the cooperatives. And then again, working with the DTI, on the SEZ fund and the critical infrastructure program, so that we can realize this, infrastructure that we need as the province. Then in conclusion, we need to build on the resilience that has been demonstrated by our economy. If you look at how it recovered, and many probably wouldn't have expected, but we can see it bouncing back. We need to build on that. And then again, adjust our operations, that we cannot do business as usual. And then how do we take advantage, of the digital technology, the ICT, and in running our businesses, and making sure that we do not leave anyone behind. We've got the broadband rollout that we're running. And fortunately, even as a country now, we're saying, how do we are in the process of developing the 4IR strategy. And yesterday we engagement with the Department of Science and of Telecoms. Now we want to streamline that and take advantage on all the opportunities that are coming from that as a province. Then again, invest in innovation, because there are markets, there are players. New product development is critical. Then again, the economic infrastructure, I've covered that, the SMME, and then that's how we will get this inclusivity on our economy. So with those words, thank you. Thank you.